see this guy? Like when he's on a stage, he like kind of meanders over, you know, can't really walk well, and he goes over to the flag and he like hugs the flag. I mean, I love the flag, but it's a weird thing he does, right? But while he's hugging the flag, you know what he's doing? He's ripping away our freedoms. That's what he's all about.
Surprising absolutely nobody, Trump clearly did not change after he was shot. Despite the media narrative that Trump was more serene and a changed man, it's very clear he is the same anti-democratic, aspiring authoritarian that we've always known him to be. Even though he pretended to be somber at the RNC for about 20 minutes before quickly pivoting back into campaign mode and attacking a frequent list of enemies, on the trail since then, he's been the same old Trump. And all of this pandering that he does, especially when he hugs the flag, it's very strange because at the same time, he's taking away all of our rights. This myth that Republicans care about freedom isn't rooted in reality, and they certainly don't care about democracy.
If they don't cheat, we win this state easily, okay? They cheat. They have no shame. They cheat. Do you understand that, you crooked people? They're the most crooked. They cheat. They cheated in the last election. And they're going to cheat in this election, but we're going to get them.
That was Trump at a campaign rally in Minnesota, a state that he doesn't really have a chance of winning. But he's claiming that if he doesn't win, it's because Democrats cheated. He's not saying this because he thinks it's going to be a close race and there's a chance he might lose. He's saying this to prime the pump for future anti-democratic actions like we saw on January 6th. If you think for a second that if Trump loses in November, he's going to go down without a fight, you're crazy.
Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
They've already been laying the foundation for challenges to the election, more anti-democratic schemes. Who knows if we'll see fake electors again? You'd think they'd learn their lesson, but I don't think these people are capable of remorse. And you can see that in comments like this.
Democrats say the former president is trying to take the reins of the entire democratic system here with these comments. You're laughing. What do you believe he's trying to say? What's the truth?
He's trying to tell the Christian community and anybody else who's listening the nightmare that we're experiencing will soon be over. Give me 4 more years and I'm going to right this ship called America and pass it on to the next generation. We will have democracy, God willing, for a very long time in this country.
Of course, Lindsey Graham, the most pathetic person in the Senate, runs to Trump's defense. What else was he supposed to mean by that? How are we supposed to interpret you won't have to vote again? This is the same person who said he would be dictator for a day. I'm tired of people bending over backwards to justify the things that he says. These are things that are genuine threats to democracy and our political system, and then you have people in his camp justifying it, defending it, making excuses for him, as if you don't have examples of things that he would do that would jeopardize our democracy. They all pretended to be outraged by it, but then as soon as the impeachment inquiry came, then all of a sudden they were on his side again. And this reflects a broader problem in the Republican Party. They don't care about democracy, they don't care about our political system, they don't care about election integrity. All they care about is power for themselves. That's their one true motivating factor. And if they get it and hold on to it, especially if Trump's at the helm, they will do anything they can to hold on to that, even if that means completely trashing our democratic system. You even have Republicans calling this out.
It seems crazy to ask this and even crazier to fathom it, but do you believe if Donald Trump were elected next year that he would try to stay in office beyond a second term? That he would never leave office?
There's no question.
You think he would try to stay in power forever?
Absolutely. I mean, he's already done it once. And in fact, if you look at what he did in the run-up to January 6th in terms of his pressure on the vice president not to count legitimate electoral votes, his pressure on the Department of Justice, on state officials, and then refusing to send help when the Capitol was under attack, he's already attempted to seize power. And he was stopped, thankfully, and for the good of the nation and the republic, But he said he will do it again. He's expressed no remorse.
Of course he'll try to stay. He tried to stay last time, and this time they're already making the case that he should be able to run again. That is, if we even have elections. But let's say that we do. You can see that in some conservative commentary. They've laid out the foundation for extending term limits, arguing that the Constitution really only says 2 consecutive terms, not 2 terms total. Of course, everybody who isn't in the MAGA camp knows that's ridiculous. It's always been just 2 terms, even if they aren't consecutive. You will see more and more MAGA Republicans make the case that it's just 2 consecutive terms. So they will push for Trump to run for a 3rd term. But what does this ultimately mean? What does this say about him, the Republican Party, and our democracy? Take a look at this.
Donald Trump is attacking our election system. He's attacking our very system, our democratic institutions. That's an act of a traitor. Either I win or it will be stolen from me. To say that before an election, Jessica, anyone who says that, any candidate, and I've been a candidate, any candidate who says to voters, either I'm going to win or the other side's going to cheat, those are the words of a traitor to this country.
This is former Congressman Joe Walsh. He was a Republican, but Trump drove him out of the party. This isn't somebody I would even typically look to for political guidance or analysis, but I do think in this instance what he's saying is right. Because again, Minnesota is not a state Trump has a chance of winning. And he knows that. Of course he knows that. But he's doing this to preemptively create a scenario where he can contest the results of an election. And he's doing this more and more because he's falling in the polls now that Kamala Harris is the presumptive Democratic nominee. Trump is somebody who has hit a ceiling in polling. He's not bringing in new people. Voters already know who he is and they know the problems with him. So Kamala Harris offers voters something relatively new, a different choice. It's not a Biden, it's not a Trump, it's not a Clinton, and it's not an Obama. Those are families and names that have been in the White House for the last few decades. People want change and they wanted a different option, and they reflected that in polling. That's why you're seeing Kamala Harris surge ahead of Trump in popularity and favorability. So the Trump campaign is in full meltdown mode, especially because they're already regretting picking J.D. Vance as the nominee. They didn't think that would matter because they thought they were running against Biden. But now that Biden's out, they have to completely redo and overhaul their campaign because voters know he is full of. The only people that support Trump are his hardcore loyalists. Even his own family doesn't like him. Take a look.
The president's sister, retired federal judge Marianne Trump Berry, was recorded by her niece Mary slamming her famous brother.
Change of story is a lack of preparation, the lying, the holy shit. All he wants to do is appeal to his base. He has no principles. None. Donald's out for Donald, period.
Trump has no principles. You can see it right there. Of course, he'll say and do anything if it puts him in power. But what's really dangerous is the prospect of a Trump presidency with Project 2025 looming. He can try to distance himself from it, but it's not going to work because people on his staff and who were in his White House helped write it. His current national press secretary helped put it together. The idea that Trump is completely removed from Project 2025 and what's inside is ludicrous, and it sets up a good opportunity for Democrats to point this out.
He's told us what he wants to do. Y'all go crack open that whole Project 2025 thing. Go take a look. Go take a look at what his buddies and all his former staff wrote. That is, hold on, I'm going to repeat it. These are not my words. These are words this guy in the front row. That's some scary right there. That's what he just said. So the guy's more dangerous because he knows what he's doing. He's got no guardrails around him anymore, and he's told us what he wants to do. What Maya Angelou say, when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Not only is Trump a stale option, not only is Trump anti-democratic, here's what happens if Trump gets elected. You can see the policies here in this playbook. They're going to take away your freedoms. They're going to make it harder to get an abortion. They're going to undo all of the good climate accomplishments that Biden and Harris put together. They're going to change the tax code so the rich pay even less while you pay more, and so much more. It's basically a complete corporate overhaul of our federal government and our system to benefit the wealthy, his donors. So if you want to preserve democracy, if you want to preserve our system, if you want to fight for our rights, and if you want economic fairness, there are plenty of reasons to not vote Trump. But if you want to preserve our democracy, our system, the basic foundation on which our country was founded, it's very clear. Trump is antithetical to the entire ideal of our country.